Look at gold, it's just $100 basically off its all-time high. Silver's half of it. And yet it has more uses and needs industrially, militarily, and now monetarily than gold does. And it should be much higher. I think it's the play of a generation. What are the headwinds? The manipulation on COMEX, period. You have...
Get ready to dive into the world of precious metals with Andy Schetman. In this video, Andy discusses the intriguing dynamics between gold and silver. Gold hovers just shy of its all-time high, while silver, with its versatile uses in industry, military, and finance, remains undervalued. Why is silver's potential suppressed? Uncover the mysteries of market manipulation on the COMEX and the intriguing reasons behind it. Recent events like the imprisonment of key players at JP Morgan suggest there's more to this story. Join us as we explore the hidden forces affecting precious metals. Andy Schetman's insights reveal why silver might just be the investment opportunity of a lifetime. So let's go back to Andy and watch and stay connected until the end.
As far as tailwinds are concerned, you have what I believe to be the most undervalued asset on the planet, that being silver. We're going to see at least 200 million ounce shortfall between supply and demand. It is an asset that is needed in so many ways, or so many forms of manufacturing, in terms of green and digital applications, and copious amounts that are growing every day. There's 500 ounces in the tip of every Tomahawk cruise missile, or any of these sophisticated like Javelin missiles. They have huge amounts of silver. Google it, you'll see that. And when we've given away so much of our artillery and our weaponry to the Ukraine, the U.S. will need to rebuild its stash. They will need silver. And what's very unique about silver is this duality in demand between an asset that's experienced a monetary renaissance and all of the ever-increasing industrial and military uses. And in a world that is going green and digital, the need for silver is massive. Now, when you put it in the context geologically, it becomes a lot more interesting. Geologically speaking, the price of silver in relation to gold for 5,000 years has been 16 to 1. There's been 16 ounces of silver in the ground for every 1 ounce of gold. I think the exact number, they call it God's ratio, was 15.5 to 1. So silver, in essence, is much more abundant geologically. But the big deposits were found decades ago, long before the advent of advanced imagery, because the geologic term for silver in terms of where it's found is epithermal, and meaning it's very near the surface. And so last year alone, only roughly 30 to 35%, call it 1 billion ounces, were mined. Roughly 300 to 350 million ounces came from companies that mine silver, period. The other 650 to 700 million ounces came from companies that don't mine silver at all. They mine other things and stumble across it. Oh, look, we found some silver. It's a byproduct of other elements that are being mined for, which means it's decreasing its footprint in nature. The big deposits which were found near the surface have already been exploited. And now you only get 3 out of 10 ounces that are mined from companies that are looking specifically for silver. So this is a depleting asset in an environment where the demand is increasing exponentially. We're seeing backdooring out of the ETFs by the authorized participants, largely the commercial banks. So we are seeing silver disappear. We are seeing the price suppressed, again, talking about the counterintuitive nature of the price. At the same time, the biggest money in the world is accumulating it and removing any and all counterparty risk by pulling it off of the exchanges. And I think it's the value of a generation. Honest to God, I believe it is the value, the play, the trade of a generation. And I don't say that flippantly. The United States Geological Division of the government came out recently and said it will be the first item struck from the periodic table of elements. They said that within the next decade, all of the silver in Mexico will be depleted. You are seeing a depletion of silver, an increase in its uses, a suppression of the price. It is the trade of a generation. You look at everything since 1980, it's gone through the roof. Where's silver? Half of where it was in 1980. Does that seem right to you? Look at gold, it's just $100 basically off its all-time high. Silver's half of it. And yet it has more uses and needs industrially, militarily, and now monetarily than gold does. And it should be much higher. I think it's the play of a generation. What are the headwinds? The manipulation on COMEX, period. You have banks that are holding down the price for a reason. What the hell is the reason? It must be more important than we're being led to believe. But why put so much effort to the point where the guy that ran the metals desk and the head trader at JP Morgan were just sentenced to prison last week for suppressing the metals market, largely silver. And so when you talk about the importance of it, the price is being betrayed by the drawdown from the world's exchanges. And I guess I'll say it to you this way, Jesse. It would be far easier for you or Eric Sprott or Rick Rule, someone who could write out a check for $100 million, to give me a check for $100 million to buy silver than it would be to take delivery off the Shanghai Metals Exchange, off the COMEX, off the LBMA. You need to be massively sophisticated to do that. And so who's taking it? Where is it going? Why is it disappearing? It certainly is not indicative of its price. And I will go on record as saying I believe it to be the value proposition of a generation. Price be damned. The fundamentals are way, way distorted from the price. Yeah, I think it might even outperform because of the uses that silver has right now in green and digital and military applications. I think people put too much stock on the fact that it will slow down in a recession. Yeah, it is an industrial metal, but it's become a lot more than that. And I think people understand that. And even in a recession, you have green agenda all around the world. There are people that are buying solar panels. There are people that are buying electric vehicles. There is a ever increasing need for silver in the military industrial complex. And silver's role is money. I think it will outperform people's expectations because really what we are missing in all of this analysis, and I love Michael Oliver too. He's one of my favorite, the momentum analysis. He's different than most everyone else in the way he views the world because of momentum. Incredibly smart man. So Michael, you got my respect as well. I watch everything you put out too. I think it's different this time, Jesse. I think ask yourself, why do we have 3 or 4 banks holding the largest concentrated position of any commodity traded? Why is silver so important to hold it down? I don't understand it. Or maybe it's a little deeper. Maybe it is a strategic metal. And maybe that's why the U.S. has been suppressing the price to stockpile the crap out of it for a very long time and hide just how much they've been stockpiling. Why is the U.S. Mint, other than August when they produced 3 million coins because of the outrage that's been going on, why have for the last 4 years they produced hardly anything in the way of silver eagles? Are they stockpiling silver? There's a lot of whys and a lot of questions, but I think it will outperform maybe any investment out there because look at the fundamentals. You have an asset that is increasing in demand on multiple fronts, monetarily, industrially, militarily. You have an asset that is depleting in supply, in nature, going from 16 to 1 to 7 to 1 in terms of a mining ratio. You have an asset that when it is used, if you blow it up in a Tomahawk missile, or you have a fifth of an ounce or, in a motherboard, are you going to rip apart that motherboard to find a fifth of an ounce of silver that, after labor and everything, you go backwards? There's a kilo of it in the battery of a Tesla. Maybe they'll pull some of that up. But the point is the recycling of silver is minimal. Most of it is used in such small quantities, it doesn't make sense to recycle it. But when you talk about the gazillions of cell phones that have silver in it, little bits, or the computer screen that each of us are looking at each other on has a little bit of silver in it, or the motherboard on your computer has a little bit of silver in it, or all of the things you've touched over your entire lifetime, or any of us over the last 80 years has a modicum of silver in it. Where the hell is it all? How about this thing? Remember these things? Who the hell uses these anymore? I happen to have one. There's a little bit of silver in there, tiny bit on the motherboard. Where is all that silver? It's in landfills.
Thank you for tuning in to Andy Schetman's eye-opening exploration of the precious metals market. As we wrap up, remember that gold, just a hair's breadth from its all-time high, and silver, with its indispensable industrial, military, and monetary roles, hold secrets worth unraveling. Stay curious, stay informed, and keep an eye on the ever-evolving world of precious metals. Andy Schetman has shown us that there may be extraordinary opportunities waiting just around the corner. Don't miss out and stay tuned for more insights into the world of precious metals.